What would you say if a cop smiled and asked, "You don't mind if I take a quick look in your car, right?" If you answer that like a normal question, you can lose some of your biggest legal protections in seconds. That friendly little question is often the doorway to a full search, a longer stop, and charges you never saw coming. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could save you from a search you never meant to allow. And like this video now so you can find it fast when your heart is racing on the side of the road. Here's what you're about to learn, and you need this in your head before you ever need it in real life. You're going to learn the one line that tells you whether the stop is still happening or the officer is fishing for more. You're going to learn the exact sentence that shuts down a so-called friendly search request. You're going to learn how to stop talking without sounding rude or scared. And you're going to learn what to do if the officer tells you to step out anyway. Here's the reality. The danger is not always yelling, lights, or handcuffs. The danger is the calm voice, the casual tone, the little question that feels like small talk. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the same thing happens again and again. Drivers hear a polite question. They think being nice means saying yes, then the whole stop changes. Let me show you exactly how to keep that from happening to you. Now let's talk about why this matters so much for your safety. A traffic stop is supposed to be simple. The officer pulls you over. They ask for your license, registration, and maybe proof of insurance. They deal with the reason for the stop. Then you leave. That is how it should go. But most people have no idea how fast a simple stop can turn into an investigation. The officer finishes the traffic part, then slips in a normal-sounding question. "Do you have anything illegal in the car? Mind if I take a quick look? You don't mind if I check the trunk, right?" And because you want the stop over, you say something like, "Yeah, sure, I guess. Go ahead, I've got nothing to hide." That is where you lose control. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. They do not always need a fight, a warrant, or some dramatic moment. Sometimes they just need your permission. The first thing you need to do is find out whether the stop is still active. This matters more than you think. If the officer has your license and registration and is still writing a ticket, you are still in the stop. But if the traffic business is done and now the officer wants to chat, that is a different moment. Your line needs to be clear and calm. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, is this stop over or am I being detained?" Word for word. Memorize that line. Why does this work so well for you? Because it forces the officer to show their hand. If the stop is over, you now know the traffic reason is done. If you're still being detained, you are not free to go. Either way, you get clarity, and clarity protects you. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court. It helps show when a stop ended and when extra questioning began. That timing can matter a lot. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess so, what's going on? Then the officer keeps them talking and the stop gets longer. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, is this stop over or am I being detained?" Then the officer has to answer the real question. Watch what happens when you do not ask. The officer gives back your papers, takes one step away, then turns back. He says, "Hey, one more thing. You don't have anything illegal in the car, do you?" If you stay in that fuzzy gray area, you can get pulled into more questions, more delay, and maybe a dog sniff or search request. But when you ask that one sentence, you stop the blur. You make the moment clear. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Rodriguez versus United States, the court said, a stop cannot be stretched longer than needed. The officer cannot stretch the stop just to go hunting for other crimes unless they have more legal reason. In plain English, the officer cannot turn your broken taillight stop into a fishing trip just because they feel like it. Your question helps mark that line. Here's the reality. Officers are trained to sound casual because casual gets consent, casual gets conversation, casual gets mistakes. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it makes you stop guessing. You stop filling silence, you stop volunteering. You make the officer state whether you're staying or going. There's another reason this line matters. If you ask it calmly, you sound controlled, not combative. You are not insulting anyone. You are not refusing lawful orders. You are just asking for your status. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to know if the stop is over. Let me show you exactly how simple it sounds in real life. Officer hands back your license. You take a breath. And you say, "Officer, is this stop over or am I being detained?" Then you shut up. No extra speech, no nervous jokes, no long explanation. Just that line. If the officer says you are free to go, you leave. If the officer says you are detained, then the next tactic becomes your shield. Have you ever had an officer keep talking after handing back your license? Drop a comment below, because that moment confuses almost everyone. Now let's get to the question hidden inside the title. The officer leans in and asks, "You don't mind if I take a quick look in your car, right?" It sounds normal. It sounds tiny. It sounds like you can say yes because you have nothing to hide. But it is a request for permission, and if you give it, you may hand away a huge protection without even knowing it. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." word for word. Memorize that line. That sentence is powerful because it is short, clean, and hard to twist. You're not arguing or explaining your life story. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection because consent is one of the easiest ways officers get into cars without a warrant. If you say yes, the whole fight later gets much harder for you. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Sure, I've got nothing to hide." Then the search starts, and every item in the car becomes your problem. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Then the officer has to rely on some other legal reason. Refusing consent does not mean the search always stops. The officer may still claim they have another reason, like a smell or a dog, but your refusal still matters a lot. It tells the truth about what happened. It puts your position on the record. It keeps them from later saying, "You gave a friendly yes." This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings like Schneckloth versus Bustamante. The court said a search can be valid if a person voluntarily consents. Even if the officer never warned them, they could say no. In plain English, the law does not always save you from your own yes. That is why your no matters so much. Watch what happens when you add calm. The officer asks to look. You answer, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Then you stop. No nervous smile. No maybe. No if you want. Your words need to be sharp and simple. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos. The drivers who get hurt the fastest are the ones who talk too much after refusing. They say no, then they explain. They say no, then they apologize. You do not need any of that. Clean refusal and silence is best. And if you are wondering whether that makes you look guilty, forget that fear. People say no to protect their rights and privacy. This is 100% legal. Your job is not to make the search easy. Your job is to stop giving away permission for free. The next tactic protects you from the oldest trap, your own mouth. Once nervous, they start stacking questions to get you talking. Where are you coming from? Where are you headed? Why are you in this area? Those questions sound harmless, but they are traps. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I choose to remain silent." Those exact words. If the stop turns into arrest-level questioning, add, "I want a lawyer." Keep both lines in your head. Silence only protects you if you make it clear. In Salinas versus Texas, the court said simply, going silent is not always enough. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I'm just coming from my friend's place, my cousin's place." Mistakes become suspicion. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I choose to remain silent." Then there is less for the officer to twist or use later. Don't wait for Miranda. Berkmer v. McCarty says roadside questioning is not always full custody. Protect yourself immediately. Former police officers confirm this works because talking creates leads. If the pressure rises, say, "Officer, I choose to remain silent." Most people talk because silence feels rude. But you're not there to win a politeness contest. You are there for your rights. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, drop a comment saying, "I'm still here." Now, what if you are told to step out? Say, "I will comply with lawful orders, but I do not consent to any searches." Per Pennsylvania, for Mims, you must get out. But getting out is not consent. Stay calm. Rodriguez, Schneckloth, Mims, and Salinas cases are your legal shield. Stay safe out there.